And so she went with you to Club FF. How did you meet her originally?
I met her actually at a coffee shop.
At a coffee shop, okay. And okay, so for the day 2, you took her to the Club FF.
Yeah, because I asked her if she liked music and all that, and I said,
okay, great. So tell me more about the day 2.
Day 2, we met, grabbed some food, and then headed out to the club. It wasn't very busy when we first got there.
Okay.
Like, she doesn't even drink. She was really uptight at the club. Like, she didn't like, she was hiding behind the pole and all that. Like, she was really nervous.
You mean like she was hiding behind like the stripper pole?
No, there's these huge pillars.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah. But we watched some shows. I ran some cuffing with her, and then I took her to a table, and that's when the place started getting fuller, so I started introducing her to other people, including I went up to the bands that were playing there, and like, hey, that's a good show. Nice set you played. Oh, this is blah, blah, blah. It's our first time here. So I kind of used the bands and the people there to proof myself and to make her feel comfortable.
Okay.
The problem was she had to be home by midnight.
Okay, so she had to know that?
Understand that. She didn't want to break the house.
Did you know that already? Did you know that before you took her out?
She didn't actually said, but I don't know if this was a shit test or not, but she said her mom phoned her. Like, she had a phone call.
Well, but it's pretty common in Korea for girls to have curfews, isn't it?
Right.
It's pretty common in Japan as well.
Yeah. So I just let it go, but we're still keeping in contact on the phone and shit, so.
Okay, so how did you find out she was a virgin?
I ran the question game on her.
Uh-huh.
And I asked when was her first sexual experience, and she said she didn't have any.
Oh, really?
Like, she didn't even have a boy. Yeah.
Could you say that again? Yeah. We couldn't really hear you clearly.
She said she didn't even have a boyfriend, so that's kind of a new thing, too. Like, this is like her first, I think she's been cooped in the house too long, you know what I mean?
Okay, well, okay, so here's a couple of things. Generally speaking, I mean, this is the kind of girl you would disqualify. That's my first comment. Unless she is really like, unless she's like, she's been cooped up in the house, but she wants to get out and experience everything. You see that kind of girl?
I think she's that type, but she's in that mood. Yeah, she's starting to.
Okay, so for the day 2, why did you for the day 2? Why did you have her go? What time did you meet her for the day 2?
8 o'clock.
All right. Now it seems, and you knew that she had to be home at 12.
No, she told me that after.
Okay, so when you met her is when she told you that?
Yeah.
So what's your question? What's the issue? What do you need to? In what ways do you think you need to run this differently than you would normally?
I think this is like her first experience. You know what I mean? So.
All right. Well, maybe did you ask her if she's ever kissed a guy before? If she's ever had oral sex? Did you ask her any of those questions during the question game?
Yes, she hasn't even had a boyfriend.
Well, but that's, I mean, a lot of people have never had boyfriends, but I mean, one of the girls I'm dating, she always complains about how she hasn't had a boyfriend in like 5 years. Because she hasn't, I'm not her boyfriend, but, So, from what you've told me is that, you're basically saying that you're framing this as having to be different simply because she doesn't have experience. So that's a mistake that you're making right there. If she's complying, and if you're able to escalate the kino, then there's no reason for you to really be concerned about the fact that, what her previous level of experience is. Other than the fact that you might want to be aware of the fact that she might want to go slower, or she might be more nervous than your typical girl.
So just run it really slow.
Well, no, I'm not saying, I didn't say run it really slow. I said that you might have to run it slower. That means that means the escalation might happen slower. That's all it means. It doesn't mean that it will. She might be like, man, it's about time I tried this out. This guy seems to know what he's doing. All right. So, but what I'm getting at is that it's your framing of her is really what's causing what sounds like it's the issue. Because has she given you negative compliance in any way?
Sometimes she ran like some sort of. She did try and shit test me, like asking her why I say she's sexy and all this. Maybe that's the wrong frame to use. I don't.
Well, what do you mean? Why do you say that?
Well, she just says it's not polite.
What's not polite?
It's like that sort of language. And I said, well, that's just how people talk. I'm just expressing.
Wait, I'm confused. You told her that you think she's sexy, and she said...
Yeah, I said, yeah, you're a very sexy girl.
And where was the shit test you said she did?
It was actually when she had to go home near the subway.
But you didn't tell me what she did in reaction that was the shit test. You told her that you were sexy, and her reaction was?
She was saying about how that's impolite and you shouldn't do that, blah, 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 sort of thing.
Oh, she said it's impolite for you to tell her that she's sexy?
Yeah, like that's not nice manners.
Oh, okay.
Then she did the whole thing. She's like, "You're evil," and I said, "That's right."
Okay, cool.
An evil side.
Okay. So,
I think.
So it sounds to me. Well, you can chime in, Blue Mister. But from what you've told me so far, that she hasn't done anything that would be any different from a girl who had experience. I don't see any differences.
Well, she admitted it, but...
No, I don't mean about that. I'm talking about her behavior. What you've told me about her behavior, what you told me about the Kino escalation, what you've told me about the compliance building, seems no different from any other girl. If she hadn't told
she was...
She was what?
She was a little bit, well, actually a lot. If you touch her, she gets all cringy.
Ah, okay. Now...
So, but she started getting comfortable.
Okay, so there you go. That's what I was saying about maybe having to escalate things slower. But it sounds to me like, you can just run it like you always do. Seems okay to me.
Yeah.
Okay, Blue Mystery, you were saying that you had an interesting weekend as well.
Oh yeah. Well, first about Chachi's thing. Yeah, it sounds like gotta make sure you really want her. She sounds like she might be testing your frames out. That's what she's poking at. Like with that thing about you're sexy, and she said it's not polite. Like she's poking at your frameworks, at your frame foundation. And the answer you gave to RedpoleQ gives me the impression that those frames aren't as solid as they could be. Like, for example, one of my regulars, like she I'd touch her. I'm sure you got this too. When you are just running Kino on a girl, like when you're touching them, like they'll be like, "You don't do this in this country." Even like the latest girl, not the latest girl, but the girl that that Kukushka is enjoying now. She was like, "I'm Korean. I don't do those kind of things." And I pulled her, in a love motel. I mean, they're testing your frameworks. Really, she sounds like she was testing your frames, and
right,
she sounds like the kind of person that, like, if she's gonna have sex with you, she wants to make sure she's gonna have sex with someone whose frames are strong enough to deal with her, so she can be herself and she won't have to worry. So just basically what I'm saying is you gotta toughen up your frames.
Yeah, and I just want to.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I just want to emphasize that what Blue Mystery is saying is that what you would do, regardless of how much experience the girl had, you would do things exactly the same way.
All right, so
that's what
run it
you
normal,
want you to
but
do.
Slower.
I mean, calibrate.
Yes, exactly. And don't be surprised if you find that you have to move slower than with other girls. That's what I mean.
Right.